In one of the world's first health resorts, the Dead Sea is receding at an alarming rate. Multiple canals and pipelines were proposed to reduce its recession, and though the dangers have been known for years, little has been done on the ground.
The Dead Sea, a vanishing wonder and the omen of life in a cursed land. Imagine a place so desolate, so utterly forsaken that it feels as though the earth itself has turned its back on life. A scorched, salt-crusted wasteland stretches before you, cracked open like an ancient wound, where nothing grows, nothing breathes, and the very ground seems to murmur warnings through jagged sinkholes that swallow everything in their path. The air is heavy, thick with the weight of silence, and the horizon shimmers with a heat that feels almost vengeful. This is no dystopian fiction spun from the imagination of a filmmaker. This is real. This is the Dead Sea. Nestled in the Rift Valley between Israel and Jordan, the Dead Sea has long been a paradox, a place of haunting beauty and barren hostility. Once celebrated as a natural wonder, its waters are now retreating at a terrifying pace, shrinking by nearly 4 feet each year. What remains is a crumbling, lifeless crust fractured by the relentless forces of nature and human greed. The land itself seems to groan in protest, splitting open into cavernous voids that threaten to consume anything that dares to linger too long. But amidst this apocalyptic decay, something impossible is happening. In the heart of this dying landscape where salt once reigned supreme, freshwater pools are inexplicably forming. And within these pools, fish. Living, swimming fish thriving in a place where no life should exist. Scientists are stunned. Locals whisper in awe and fear. And some, drawing on ancient texts and forgotten prophecies, see something far more profound: a sign, a warning, a harbinger of the end times. Is this a miracle, a glitch in the natural order, or something far darker, the Dead Sea? Once a symbol of eternal stillness, is now a crucible of mystery, where science, faith, and prophecy collide. What is happening beneath its cracked surface? Why now? And what does it mean for the rest of us? Hold tight, for the truth may shake the very foundations of what you believe about the world. A land in peril, the Dead Sea's descent into chaos. At the lowest point on Earth's surface, some 1,400 feet below sea level, lies a body of water so alien, so surreal, that it feels like a relic from another time. The Dead Sea, cradled in the Jordan Rift Valley, is a place where the laws of nature seem to bend. Its waters are nearly 10 times saltier than the oceans, a briny soup so dense that humans can float effortlessly on its surface. No fish swim here. No plants take root along its shores. Even the hardiest microorganisms struggle to survive in its hypersaline embrace. For centuries, this strange silent sea has been a place of reverence and retreat, a site of pilgrimage and reflection, steeped in myth and sacred lore. The Dead Sea's name is no accident. Its extreme salinity, around 34% compared to the ocean's 3.5%, creates an environment where life as we know it cannot exist. The Hebrew Bible calls it the Salt Sea, and ancient texts describe it as a place of divine judgment, a cursed land where Sodom and Gomorrah once stood before fire and brimstone rained down. Yet despite its inhospitable nature, the Dead Sea has drawn people for millennia. Its mineral-rich waters and mud were prized by ancient Egyptians, Greeks, and Romans for their supposed healing properties. Cleopatra herself is said to have sought its waters for rejuvenation. Today, tourists still flock to its shores, smearing black mud on their skin and floating in its buoyant embrace, unaware of the catastrophe unfolding beneath their feet. But the Dead Sea is no longer the eternal wonder it once was. It is dying, and its death is not a quiet one. Each year, its waterline recedes by nearly 5 feet, a relentless retreat that is transforming this ancient sea into a geological graveyard. The once vibrant shores are now desolate expanses of cracked, salt-encrusted earth, pockmarked by sinkholes that appear without warning. These aren't mere potholes, they are gaping chasms, some plunging over 100 feet deep, capable of swallowing roads, orchards, and entire campgrounds. The landscape looks like a battlefield, scarred and broken, as if the earth itself is collapsing in despair. The cause of this collapse are no mystery, but their scale and consequences are nothing short of terrifying. The Dead Sea's primary lifeline, the Jordan River, has been reduced to a shadow of its former self. Once a mighty artery that fed the sea with fresh water, the Jordan is now a trickle diverted for agriculture, drinking water, and industrial use. Israel, Jordan, and Syria have all tapped into its flow, leaving the Dead Sea to starve. Add to this the region's brutal climate and unrelenting sun that turns the basin into a natural evaporation engine, and the sea's water is vanishing faster than nature can replenish it. Then there is the human toll. Mineral extraction companies on both sides of the border pump millions of gallons of water from the Dead Sea each year, harvesting valuable resources like potash, bromine, and magnesium. The profit is immense, but the cost is catastrophic. The sea's water levels plummet, and the land around it fractures. Sinkholes, once a rare phenomenon, now number in the thousands, transforming the region into a treacherous maze. Roads crumble, resorts are abandoned, and entire communities live in fear of the ground giving way beneath them. The Dead Sea is no longer just a dying wonder. It is a warning cry from the earth itself, echoing through the cracks and voids that scar its surface. And yet amidst this chaos, something extraordinary is happening, something that defies logic, science, and reason. The miracle in the wasteland life where none should exist, in the midst of the Dead Sea's collapse, a phenomenon so astonishing it borders on the miraculous has emerged. In the sinkholes, those gaping wounds in the Earth's crust, small pools of fresh water have begun to form. These pools, with salinity levels below 1.5, is a stark contrast to the Dead Sea's briny waters. And in these pools, life has appeared. Microorganisms thrive, algae bloom, and most shockingly, fish have been spotted swimming in waters that should be a death sentence for any creature. The discovery of fish in the Dead Sea region is nothing short of staggering. For centuries, this sea has been synonymous with sterility, a place where life was impossible. Yet here they are, small, resilient fish, darting through crystal-clear pools surrounded by salt and desolation. Researchers like Noam Badin, founder of the Dead Sea Revival Project, have documented these pools with awe and urgency. Through photographs and videos, they've captured images of life flourishing in a place called Dead, a sight that feels both hopeful and unsettling. How is this possible? Scientists are scrambling to understand. One theory suggests that underground freshwater springs hidden beneath the salt-crusted surface are mixing with the receding saline waters to create these oases. These springs may have been sealed off for centuries, only to be exposed as the sea shrinks and the land collapses. Another possibility is that the fish traveled through irrigation channels or natural streams connected to the Jordan River, finding their way into these newly formed pools. Whatever the mechanism, the result is undeniable. Life is emerging where none should exist. This phenomenon, though localized, has captured global attention. Environmentalists see it as a glimmer of hope, a sign that nature can still surprise us even in its darkest moments. But for others, the implications are far more profound. In a region steeped in religious history, the appearance of fish in the Dead Sea's sinkholes has sparked whispers of prophecy. Ancient texts from the Hebrew Bible to the writings of early Christian and Islamic scholars speak of the Dead Sea as a place of divine significance. Some passages, particularly in the book of Ezekiel, describe a vision of the Dead Sea coming to life, its waters teeming with fish, as a sign of renewal or judgment. In modern times, these ancient prophecies have found new voices. American evangelists and religious scholars point to the Dead Sea's transformation as a possible fulfillment of end-times predictions. They argue that the sudden appearance of life in a cursed land could be a harbinger, a signal that the world is on the brink of a great reckoning. For some, it is a miracle, a testament to divine power. For others, it is a warning, a sign that the earth is shifting in ways we cannot fully comprehend. The collapse beneath our feet, the Dead Sea's decline, is not just a story of environmental loss. It is a tale of human hubris and neglect. The Jordan River, once a sacred lifeline that nourished the sea and the communities along its banks, has been reduced to a fraction of its former glory. Decades of damming, diversion, and over-extraction have left the river a mere shadow of itself. In the 1960s, the Jordan River carried an estimated 1.3 billion cubic meters of water annually into the Dead Sea. Today, that figure is less than 100 million cubic meters, a staggering loss that has choked the sea's primary source of replenishment. Climate change exacerbates the problem. The Middle East is one of the most water-scarce regions on Earth, and rising temperatures are accelerating evaporation. The Dead Sea, already situated in a natural bowl that traps heat, is particularly vulnerable. Summer temperatures regularly exceed 100 degrees, turning the sea into a giant evaporation pan. As the water disappears, the salinity increases further, stressing the delicate balance of the ecosystem. But it is the sinkholes that truly underscore the scale of the crisis. These geological voids are a direct consequence of the sea's retreat. As the water level drops underground, salt deposits dissolve, leaving cavities that collapse under the weight of the surface. The result is a landscape riddled with holes, some as wide as football fields and as deep as multi-story buildings. Entire stretches of coastline are now off-limits marked by warning signs and barbed wire. Resorts that once thrived on tourism are now ghost towns, their pools and patios swallowed by the earth. The human cost is equally devastating. Farmers who relied on the region's mineral-rich soil have seen their fields collapse into sinkholes. Bedouin communities whose livelihoods depend on the land face displacement as the ground becomes unstable. Even major infrastructure like the highway that runs along the Dead Sea's western shore is at risk, with sections buckling and cracking as the earth shifts beneath. Faltering hope, the struggle to save the Dead Sea, the crisis has not gone unnoticed. In 2013, Israel and Jordan announced an ambitious plan to save the Dead Sea, the Dead Sea Conveyance Project. The idea was simple yet audacious. Build a pipeline to pump water from the Red Sea's Gulf of Aqaba, desalinate it for human use, and send the leftover brine north to replenish the Dead Sea. The project promised a dual benefit: fresh water for a parched region and salvation for a dying sea. But more than a decade later, the pipeline remains a mirage. Political tensions between Israel, Jordan, and the Palestinian Authority have stalled progress. The region's history of conflict and mistrust makes cooperation a delicate dance, and negotiations often collapse under the weight of competing interests. Environmental concerns further complicate the plan. Scientists warn that mixing Red Sea water with the Dead Sea's unique chemical composition could trigger unforeseen consequences, from algal blooms to changes in the sea's delicate mineral balance. The cost, estimated at $10 billion, is another hurdle, with investors wary of the project's technical and political challenges. Meanwhile, grassroots efforts offer a flicker of hope. Activists like Noam Badin and the Dead Sea Revival Project advocate for restoring the Jordan River's natural flow, arguing that the sea's salvation lies in reviving its original lifeline. But this solution too faces obstacles. Restoring the Jordan would require unprecedented cooperation between Israel, Jordan, and Syria, as well as significant reductions in water use for agriculture and industry, a tall order in a region where water is more precious than oil. As the debate rages on, the Dead Sea continues to shrink and the sinkholes multiply. Time is running out and the window for action is narrowing. The question is no longer whether the Dead Sea can be saved, but whether we have the will to try. What lies beneath prophecy and mystery? The Dead Sea is more than a body of water. It is a symbol, a threshold between the physical and the metaphysical. Its decline and the strange phenomena emerging in its wake have stirred deep questions about the nature of our world. The fish in the sinkholes, the collapsing earth, the shrinking sea, all of these feel like pieces of a larger puzzle, one that science alone may not be able to solve. For centuries, the Dead Sea has been a place of spiritual significance. The Qumran caves, located along its northwestern shore, yielded the Dead Sea Scrolls, ancient manuscripts that offer a window into the religious and cultural life of the Second Temple period. The sea itself is mentioned in the Bible as a place of divine judgment and mystery, a boundary between the sacred and the profane. The book of Ezekiel, in particular, contains a prophecy that has taken on new resonance in light of recent events, a vision of the Dead Sea's waters becoming fresh, teeming with fish and surrounded by flourishing trees. For some, the appearance of fish in the Dead Sea sinkholes is a literal fulfillment of this prophecy, a sign that the world is entering a new era. Religious scholars and modern prophets, particularly in evangelical Christian communities, point to these events as evidence of biblical predictions coming to pass. They argue that the Dead Sea's transformation is not just an environmental anomaly, but a divine signal, a warning that the end times are near. Skeptics, of course, see things differently. Scientists attribute the freshwater pools and fish to natural processes, geological shifts, underground springs, or human-made irrigation channels. They caution against reading too much into what may simply be an unusual but explainable phenomenon. Yet even they admit that the Dead Sea's changes are unprecedented, raising questions that challenge our understanding of the natural world. What is undeniable is that the Dead Sea is no longer just a place. It is a story of loss, resilience, and mystery. As its waters recede, they reveal not just dry earth, but a deeper truth, one that resonates with ancient prophecies and modern fears. Is this merely the consequence of human folly? Or is it something more, something that no satellite can track, no laboratory can measure? The reckoning ahead. The Dead Sea is a microcosm of the challenges facing our planet. Its decline is a stark reminder of what happens when we take more from the earth than we give back. The shrinking waters, the collapsing land, the sinkholes, all are symptoms of a deeper imbalance, a warning that our actions have consequences that ripple far beyond the present moment. Yet in the midst of this loss, there is also a spark of hope. The freshwater pools and the fish they harbor are a testament to nature's resilience, a reminder that life can find a way even in the most hostile conditions. But this hope comes with a challenge to act before it's too late. The Dead Sea's fate is not sealed, but saving it will require courage, cooperation, and a willingness to confront the hard truths about our relationship with the planet. For now, the Dead Sea remains a threshold, a place where science and faith destruction and renewal collide. Its story is far from over, and what happens next may depend on us. Will we heed its warnings, or will we let it slip away, taking with it the secrets it has held for millennia? The answer lies not just in the waters of the Dead Sea, but in the choices we make as stewards of the earth. As the fish swim in cursed waters and the ground splits beneath our feet, one thing is clear: the Dead Sea is speaking, and we would do well to listen.